Hello everyone and welcome. Simon, that was a wonderful presentation. I'm sure I will be checking it out. So as introduced, my name is Lili Vidra and I head the GIS department for Argent Related. I'm very excited to share with you today how our team at Brent Cross is using SiteScan outputs in property development and construction business. In particular, I want to focus on how we engage our stakeholders. I very much hope that you find my presentation interesting and that you learn something new today. Argent Related is a UK property development company and investor delivering homes and public spaces. Argent Related leverages the combined expertise and track records of the UK developer Argent and related companies, one of the United States' most prominent real estate firms. We've done a number of notable landmarks in the UK, such as development of King's Cross, and the US-based projects such as New York's Hudson Yards. However, in the context of this presentation, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about Brent Cross Town. Brent Cross Town is a new major regeneration scheme in London. This CGI illustrates how our first phase of development is planned to look like once it's finished. This site is located, as shown on that map, in northwest London, in the London Borough of Barnet. The project is already 12 years in the running. Just a couple of key dates for you here. Brent Cross Cricklewood received outline planning consent from Barnet Council in 2010. In 2014, the planning consent was received under Section 73, which essentially enables the land to be developed. And what's exciting for us, in 2016, Argent Related were chosen to develop what will become a mixed-use development. What can I say? You can probably see from this image, the project is huge. Previously an industrial estate, it covers nearly 200 acres of land. We are delivering over 6,000 new homes, 25,000 new workplaces, and 50 acres of green spaces and playing fields. One of the temporary parks, known as the Exploratory, is already open, and another one, actually nicely upgraded, called Claremont Park, is due to be open at the end of May, so make sure you come and check it out. So here is another short video to show you how Brent Cross will be delivered. The primary business purpose for drones on this site was the ability to monitor the ongoing progress of project site, and we wanted it to be done cost effectively, and we wanted it to be done consistently through various phases of development. The other big item which I have to touch upon is that a lot of works on site started and was going through actually the COVID-19 pandemic, which meant that a lot of people, including the wider project team, needed a way of understanding what was happening on site and where. As a GIS manager, I gained a lot of exposure to drone surveys over the past years. And as a result, the following slide highlights some of the key aspects that need to be considered. The use of unmanned aircraft and drones are governed in the UK by the Civil Aviation Authority, who manage the regulations and permissions required to operate those drones. In some instances, such as in the case of Brent Cross Town, additional permissions are needed due to restricted airspace, such as flying over live railway lines, which require approval from Network Rail and their air operation team. For a full understanding of these rules and regulations, I would advise visiting the Flying Drones and Modern Aircraft on the CAA website. As previously mentioned, Brent Cross Town required consideration to flight restrictions due to the project being a mixed-use development. The site is surrounded by public transportation routes, namely North Circular, and also the live railways, where the new station just over there is being currently built and will be open in Q1 2023. Many parties have been engaged to ensure the flight restrictions flight restrictions are fully understood and documented, and authorizations are gained prior to flying. We constantly have to think about the sequencing of works, as you have previously seen. So actually, drone outputs are excellent tools to do so. We use various drone outputs, including panoramas and videos, but when creating supporting basements, we need to make sure that our data is of great quality. Therefore, imagery needs to be positioned through the use of ground control points. An effective means to do this is by enabling software such as SiteScan, which I'll talk about later, to auto-recognize and georeference outputs. Our site is frequently changing, so it's not necessarily the same space every time. So that means that the sense is changing, and especially around the public around areas. So we have worked with our contractor on site to devise a spray method, which essentially allows the software to detect the GCP points, locations, and georeference the images. Those ground control point locations are prominently sprayed and renewed over the semi-permanent control points established as part of the project control grid. So you might be asking why SiteScan. You're not sure if any of you actually heard of this particular product. We knew we needed a way to survey the project site efficiently and cost effectively to satisfy various identified use cases. And the use of drones on a pilot project site provided added assurance, as it was the most appropriate method to fill our requirements to supply both 2D and 3D digital outputs. So just to mention our business needs. So in short, we needed a platform that could easily integrate in our existing investment in GIS software. As you can see, we've got actually access to ArcGIS online through this Experience Builder app that we created. One that could help us enrich data sets and help us manage flights when commissioned works to surveyors. We also want to standardize the methodology applied to processing drone imagery. And we wanted to reduce costs for in-house computing and ensure high-quality GIS-compatible outputs. So actually, after accessing several cloud and desktop options, SiteScan was chosen as it best satisfied our base requirements. It is a software as a service, which allows data to be accessed from any device with an internet connection and a browser. My internal team really like using SiteScan, as there are many different tools within this product that enable site investigations. They can measure horizontal and vertical lengths and measure areas to inform planning and construction decision-making processes. They can perform volumetric calculations, which support contractors and development managers to understand progress and inform cut and fill activities. Analyzing topography is relatively simple. Users can view complete model of the elevation to gain an immediate understanding of the site topography, which can often inform logistical and planning decisions. View profiles of the elevation for any given area within the project site are particularly useful when groundworks are also underway. They can also perform 3D visualizations and interrogations. They can generate and view contours at different intervals to supplement more traditional GIS and CAD outputs. They can also visualize detailed 3D rendered mesh models of the project site that they reduce the need of site visits to ascertain conditions. SiteScan also provides different support to Esri ArcGIS online platform and Autodesk BIM 360 through online sharing and publishing. In addition, outputs can be downloaded in GIS formats for use in ArcGIS Pro on alternatives. A number of outputs via this option can be downloaded in native AutoCAD formats. The publishing process to ArcGIS Online, we actually found this particularly seamless and ensure outputs are optimized for web display. So, you've briefly seen some of the main functional capabilities of SiteScan, but what does it mean in terms of benefiting our end users? In short, the role of drones and SiteScan are playing to enrich, supplement more traditional GIS data sources is very important, especially when capturing changes occurring on site, both visually and volumetrically. These outputs are used by a range of beneficiaries, which I will now highlight. As an organization that works with an array of consultants and contractors, we wanted to utilize a technology platform that could support our aspiration to standardize the workflow, quality and management of drone survey activities, regardless of supplier. Through the use of SiteScan's consistent approach to processing and publishing orthomosaics, we've been able to build a catalog documenting changes to the project site, which can be referred to by our project team, helping in resolution exercise and investigatory activities. I'll probably take Simon's ideas to improve this particular output. More recently, we have created a story map depicting historical view of the Brent Cross Town project site. All data is, of course, not a bad data. So those past surveys I mentioned earlier are incorporated into this story map to inform a wonderful repository showing how the site has transformed and transitioned to help inform construction activities, especially when all infrastructure assets are sometimes discovered on site. Whilst we are very fortunate to have very high quality cartographic mapping projects in the UK, such as OS Master Map, it is unfortunately ineffective at portraying and informing staff of realities on project sites. Thankfully, high-resolution aerial imagery is able to fulfill those gaps. Another very useful output from SiteScan is the panorama flight mode. This has been showcased through Custom Experience Builder app, which presents images at specific locations at variable heights. This app has been absolutely revolutionary when showing what our customers, potential customers, could see at various different floors for various different buildings, essentially. We are using panoramas in combination with 3D models to inform and update board members on the progress of project site, providing a particularly strong visual narrative that complements more traditional project management reporting methods. It's been particularly effective in discussion with our internal investors. A lot of our investors, as I mentioned earlier, are companies also in America. Therefore, actually, this became extremely useful. To reduce the cost and risk of site visits, rendered 3D meshes are also regularly generated to inform the wider construction team. This has been particularly useful through the COVID-19 pandemic. Of equal value are the point clouds generated from the orthomosaics, which take advantage of SiteScan's powerful web-based viewer to enable users to calculate cut and fill volumes, stockpile volumes, and earthworks, activities which are regularly performed on a weekly and fortnightly basis by our construction team. Historically, it has been very challenging to provide a wide audience with the ability to step into 3D environment online, often meaning businesses revert to using dedicated workstation or desktop application. Thankfully, the benefit of Esri's new JavaScript library means the capability is better now than ever before through ArcGIS Online, allowing us to share this information across the organization with a selected third-party architects and engineers, helping to facilitate collaboration sessions to master planning activities. Outputs from SiteScan have also been imported to third-party platforms that are being used to perform specific 4D analysis of the delivery program. Our aerial photos and 360 panoramas are also shared with general public, where they can track progress of construction activities on site using our project website, again, better understanding of how the site is performing. Hopefully, you've gained an appreciation of how we are using drone surveys and SiteScan to enrich our project information. So to wrap up, I'll briefly summarize the benefits we've realized along with a few key takeaways that I hope might help you in your organization. Recently, I have asked members of my organization to take a short survey and ask them to tell me how they are using output generated using drones. This is what they said. They said they use the output to check the current situation on site. They use it as their background maps. They use it as overlays with master plans. So essentially, it's our aspirations to deliver the site. Our marketing team is using it all the time to essentially to create that and build that into various different applications, separate applications, to creating wonderful images to show what the site or what our buildings could look like. They're using it to monitor progress. Of course, they're using it for reporting. As I mentioned, we're sharing it with community. It's interesting because our contractors are performing various different surveys for us, but also they're using these outputs to inform each other as well. So that was, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the work on and the use of these outputs are extremely useful, and they were extremely useful during remote working during pandemic. And of course, they viewed the site in 3D. So if you are considering using SiteScan or drone technology, here are a few key takeaways, things that I've learned on this project. Be creative with the outputs from drone surveys. They can provide a myriad of benefits in addition to empowering and engaging visualization. SiteScan can provide an elegant workflow-based cloud solution that accelerates progress and processing times. It automates laborious tasks and helps to standardize the quality for outputs. Make sure you familiarize yourself with those CAA regulations. And also make sure you engage with your internal and external stakeholders as early as possible. Define and advocate good data management practices. So it's extremely important that you introduce these data practices as early as possible and ensure that those included on ArcGIS Online as well as within SiteScan. And finally, maximize the benefits through targeted GIS applications and maps. I hope this brief insight into Brent Cross Town projects provides you all with some idea how you could use geospatial technology and drone surveys to generate an array of useful digital outputs benefiting your projects and your stakeholders. Thank you very much.